Hi, seventh grade. Welcome back to Reading and Touching Spirit Pair. Today we're going to be reading chapter 21, just chapter 21, but the assignment that is sitting in your Google Classroom is going to be over chapters 21, 22, and 23. All right, so make sure that you're only reading what is assigned of you each day and that you're not working too far ahead. So, since this assignment covers 21 through 23, it should not be turned in today. Today, we're just focusing on chapter 21. You could certainly start and get a lot of it done, but this is an assignment that you will turn in when you're finished reading chapter 23. So, I want to go through the expectations of it, and you'll see that it sits in your Google Classroom account as a Google slide. Okay, this is the third time we've looked at it this way. We've converted it to look like an electronic copy. That way you're able to type on it and submit it through Google Classroom and not have to take pictures like you did before spring break. All right, a few functions to remind you. Next to each of the Bitmojis of Mrs. Pierce and myself is a little microphone. So if you were just to kind of hover over it, you'll see the play button. If you press play there, it'll be read to you. So this chunk of text will be read to you so that if I'm not with you, which I'm not, you're able to click on it, have it be read to you, and you can hear it a little bit easier than just reading it by yourself if that's a function that you need. If it's a nice little handy dandy thing in case you need it. So for this chunk of chapters, everything is review. It's going to be going over what we've been doing since chapter 1 because we're getting closer and closer to the end of the book. So there is no new skill to learn. It's all skills you have learned. So the fact that you have your packet at home, as you should have it at home, is a good thing because I told you guys that anything I turned back to you should have kept and that you had the instructional pages within your packet. So you might need to look back at some of those things to remind yourself in case you get confused. I will go through and try to explain it. Okay, so as a reminder, you can always click there, press play, and listen to the chunk being read to you. Also, because the boxes are rather tiny that you're going to be typing in, if you see that you're running out of room, you have the box that I added in the margin here. You would just click here, type in the number. I know they're not numbered, but you can just do like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can kind of figure it out and finish typing your additional answers. If you need more space, you could always click on that box, hit Control C, Control V, you'll get another one that you could always move and add more to if you need to. So that's just kind of an option if you need. All right, so in this space right here, and I'm going to do what I suggest you guys do. Go to View, go to Zoom, go to 100% to make it a little bit larger, easier on the eyes. So for these first two questions, it is going to be reviewing character traits. That's something we did when we first started in chapter 1, and then we did it a little bit later. Remember, a character trait is something that a way to describe the character, their personality, their feelings, that kind of stuff. It does not describe their physical, like their physical look. It does not describe their role or position in the world. So if you were describing the character trait of Miss McVicker, you couldn't say short because that's a physical trait. You couldn't say teacher because that's a role. You couldn't say old because that's kind of like also like a position, like a status in life. It has to be personality, the stuff that's on the inside. Okay, we did that with Cole in the beginning of the book, and then we did it again with him to show how he was dynamic and how he had changed. So for this, you're going to be doing it again, and this is going to be just on Cole. Okay, a trait, a personality trait in these chapters 21 through 23, that a way you would describe him, you would type that answer here, and the quotation would be typed there to prove it. Okay, so the trait, the personality that you would use to describe him, the one word, it should be just one word, goes here, and then a quote with the page number from chapters 21 and 23 to prove that. You're needing to find 2 personality traits on Cole. These should be new traits, something that we've learned about him in these chapters that we didn't necessarily know about him before. Okay? If you're stuck, go back to the very first page in your packet. We listed a whole bunch of different words. You could always use that or help that to use that to at least brainstorm some more. These two questions are on sensory details. So again, review it in your pocket if necessary, but a sensory detail are those wonderful descriptive words that an author uses that paints that picture in your mind. You could hear it, you could smell it, you could taste it, you could touch it, you could see it. We rewrote sentences, if you remember. Um, um, I did one as an example about the zoo. You guys did some others. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for any sentence, maybe. It doesn't have to be very long to be a sentence where it's really descriptive, where the author puts enough detail in there that it appeals to your five senses. So you'll give me a page number, you'll type the page number and type that actual sentence or phrase. And you have to find two different ones. Okay? Remember, it's appealing to those five senses. These two are going to be dealing with figurative language. Okay, that's the other descriptive or unique way an author writes, and it's words that can't be taken and phrases that can't be taken literally. It's going to be dealing with similes, metaphors, onomatopoeia, idiom, personification, and hyperbole. When we first did this in our packet, I wrote the definitions next to each of these, and you were expected to do that too. So I hope you did. And what you'll do, just like we did before, again, it's a review, you'll find an example of one of these in chapters 21 through 23. Type the quote and the page number that contains that example. And in this box here, you'll type the word that it's an example of. So if you find a simile, you'll type the sentence that contains a simile with the page number. And then here you'll type the word simile. If you find an example of personification, you'll type the page number and the sentence that contains that example. Then here you'd write personification. Just depends on what you find in these chapters. And there's enough to pick from, enough to find. Here is word choice. Remember, it's why the author chooses those particular words and those particular phrases. They could pick anything. Why that? So you'll have to find a word or a phrase that you think the author chose purposely. Like they were very intended in their choice of how they worded that sentence or that phrase. And what you'll do is write that quote and that page number. And not just that, but you have to tell me, why do you think he chose that word or phrase? What does it show us? Okay. On our second page in our packet, what was the conflict and who or what was the antagonist in these chapters? So that's why we do it based on each day's reading, because this has to be answered when we're done with chapter 23. What is the conflict? So what is the problem? And who or what, it could be a character or it could be an object or a thing, was the antagonist. So who was working or what was working against Cole in these chapters? What was Cole's problem and who was working against him? Type that answer here. Okay, here you're going to make a text to self, text to text, or text to world connection. So what did Cole go through? Like, what can you connect that to? What does it remind you of? Does it remind you of something that's happened to you in your own life or something that you've seen on a TV or a movie somewhere else? Maybe you read it in another book and it's like a similar experience. You make that connection here. And here is a prediction. What will happen in the next chapters? What makes you think that? So it's not just enough to make a prediction. You also have to tell me why you think that way. What happened to spur you into that thought? All right. So this whole packet is reviewing skills that we've been doing since we started the book. So none of it is new. Everything is review. All right. But go back in your packet for the notes that we had taken, because that should help you. If you lost those pages or maybe didn't listen to me when I said to save everything, then you could always ask me a specific question. You can't tell me I don't get it. I'm not going to help you with that. You have to tell me what you don't understand, and then I'll try to help you. So you can jump on to Zoom between 10 and 12. I'll be there. If you don't do that, then you could always email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But again, today's expectation will be to read chapter 21 and only chapter 21. In your Google Stream, there's a link to the audio recording of chapter 21. Mrs. Pierce read it and recorded herself, and that you can listen to that as you follow along in the book. And then you can get started on this, but this should not be completed until after we finish chapter 23. All right. So again, if you have questions, let me know. If not, I hope to see you soon. Hope to talk to you soon. Bye, 7th grade.